Hello and welcome to BCC Virtual Racing and the final race of the season. The handicap race, the big favourite of the series on Suki's Playground tonight in Japan. And for those of you that don't know, Suki's named after the game designer's or that route designer's dog. Interesting fact. Anyway, 18.5 kilometres long, 11.5 miles, largely a flat course, about 150 metres of climbing in total. 42 riders entered from BCC. Whether they all turn up remains to be seen, but that's a huge field. Don't think I've seen one that large. And the format, I know you're all familiar with it, but slowest rider goes off first, which will be Rob Jones. And the last rider goes off last, Angus Stoneham, who will be trying to catch everyone else. So theoretically, if the commissaires have completed their calculations correctly, everyone should cross the line at exactly the same time. Although I'm not so sure that's what happened last event. Some interesting positions, I would say. Some riders further back in the field than I would expect, and many more further ahead in the field that I would suspect. So there was qualifying for these events, and maybe people rode a little bit slower or faster than they intend to do in this race to get themselves a good position. But be that as it may, it is still a race. Everyone on ordinary bikes, even though it's a TT in effect. I'll be watching out for those on TT bikes. Although we shouldn't find any. So first rider goes off when the event starts. The countdown clock starts at 2 hours, or runs from 2 hours, counts backwards down to 0, I'm assuming, though no one will last that long. And 20 seconds now for Rob Jones to get underway. Good luck, everyone. And having a quick look at the field. Plenty there. Just looking at the aerial shot. Plenty of riders there. Can't see 42, but quite a few. And here we go, 2 seconds away. If Rob is there, he will be going right now. Let's have a look and see the first rider on the course. There's someone moving off. That could be Rob. In fact, someone else moving off. Rob Jones, there he goes. And there he is. Just have a quick look behind, make sure no one's following him. The beacon there, the big yellow beacon, that's Mark Shannon, organiser of the meetup, so he's easy to see. And here is the start of the course, 18.5 kilometres. First rider is underway. Following Rob, we will have Matt Slipper, about 40 seconds behind. So hopefully he'll move off in sequence. Can't see him on the leaderboard just yet. Riders aren't necessarily lined up at the start in the order in which they will ride. That's just where Zwift happens to plonk the rider when they enter that particular area or route. And so about now, Matt Slipper should be underway. There he is. So coming just under the start line, 40-second gap. Behind him is, let's have a look, Andy Telford, who should be underway just now as well. 10-second gap to him. And you can see the first 2-3 riders there moving. Carmel Lord not out for another minute or so yet, so we'll come back and have a look at her once she gets moving. I've seen her on the start line. So the gaps to look at. Rob Jones is, let's see, 39 seconds ahead of Matt Slipper, so that gap has not changed since the start, but very early on, only half a kilometre in, of course. Matt's holding slightly more power at the moment, but not for long, I suspect. And Telford is 10 seconds behind Slipper, so the gap between those riders hasn't changed. Next up, let's have a look. It is Carmel, I think I just said. Little bit to go yet, another minute approximately. And then behind Carmel, Pete Barlow, then Andries Hoekema, Gavin Wilkinson, Alan Nixon. So we will come back to those riders as they begin to move. And of course, riders are allowed to form groups and draft if they wish. The first few riders are quite spaced apart, but as we get into the middle of the field, there's roughly, having a quick look down, about a 10-second gap between each rider. So the incentive is there to catch the rider in front, take advantage of the draft. I can see Khalik sitting on the start line there. Haven't seen him in a race for quite some time, making a guest appearance undoubtedly. Maybe he was persuaded, bribed or otherwise. Be interesting to see how he performs. Not quite sure how race fit he is, though I've seen him doing lots of other things at the moment. So there's Lord now underway. So the gap to Telford 1:39. And Rob Jones 2:25 ahead of her. It looks as if Pete Barlow's just started. There he is. He's now underway, and Hoekema is just, I think it's him next. Yes, it is. About another 2 minutes for him to go yet. So we'll watch the first 5 riders. The gap to Lord now at 15 seconds. Between Lord and Telford, 1:43. Between Telford and Slipper, 6 seconds. So Telford is gaining on Slipper. And in the same vein, Slipper is gaining on Jones by 5 seconds in the first 1.8 kilometres. So that's quite a good start from him. But Telford looks as if he's gaining on both of those riders. We'll watch Lord for a moment, 170 watts. 2.4 watts per kilo. So she is pushing out more power than the 3 riders ahead at the moment. And as I say, course is largely flat for the first, certainly 4. It's a downhill start, some little tiny bumps at about 4.5, 5k, something of that nature. There is the one climb of any significance, not huge. And the rest of the course, there's obviously a downhill coming back off that, another undulating section, small hill back up to the finish, and the riders are done. Here we go. Not quite sure why Hoekema is showing power, but not moving anywhere. I'll let that settle itself. I'm sure it will at some point. And for those riders that can hear me and are still waiting to start, I'm sure you know by now, don't start pedalling until your time slot comes up. So Rob Jones, 5 minutes, 4 seconds into the race, 2.8 kilometres, being chased down by Telford and Slipper. So it looks as if Telford has moved past Slipper. That's a good performance from him. So he's gained that 10 seconds, I think it was. Slipper attempting to sit on the wheel, not quite getting there. And Telford is now gaining on Jones. 29 seconds is the gap now, so we'll keep an eye on that. At 2.8k, 29 seconds. And Lord, just to see how she's doing in comparison to the front, 2:14 away from Jones. At 2.1 kilometres, so she's about 900 metres behind Slipper. And it looks as if Slipper is not giving up easily. I'm not quite sure why he's made the decision to go ahead of Telford. He's certainly putting some power down. Telford, a more experienced rider, attempted to make a small break there. Might well be wise just to sit on his wheel for a little bit, gain back a little bit of that energy he lost in the overtake, and be patient. Now he is in the front again, not being patient. 20 seconds away from Rob Jones, so Rob Jones is being chased down very rapidly at only 3.5k in, so these riders are going to come together. And Lord is gaining on Jones as well. Barlow at 2.5 kilometres. Behind him, Hoekema still not started. Not sure what's going on with him. Gavin Wilkinson should be the next rider up. Just see if I can see him on the list. It won't let me scroll down that far. Oh, there's Wilkinson. I just saw him. Pushing out 8 watts per kilo. There he goes, sprinting off at the start, passes under the start banners. I don't know what's gone wrong with Hoekema. He's not moved. Oh, he is now. Something happened. The gap between those two, 10 seconds. So quite how he's now 4 seconds behind Wilkinson. when he was due to start 10 seconds ahead. Maybe a technical problem, maybe getting his power meter to wake up again. That can happen. But anyway, Wilkinson and Hokema underway. Looks as if Nixon's left the start as well. In fact, there is Nixon on screen now with Hokema just in front of him. The gap between those two at the start, if I have a look on my phone, 20 seconds. And it is now 9 seconds. So Nixon is going for it. Sampson underway. Ahead of him, Nixon 9 seconds further up. Is he closing already? Well, by a second perhaps, but that's all for the moment. White looks as if he's underway. Behind Sampson, behind White, it should be Tamsin. She is now out under the start gate and in fact sees White ahead of her. Marcus Stoneham, rather high up on the list for him, not been riding quite to the same levels he was last season. Now the challenge for him is to stay away from Angus. I think the last handicap race, Angus almost caught him up right at the finish, if I remember. Littlewood now underway. Why he's there, I'm not sure. He's much faster than this, so I suspect he's got to put the power down now, and he will catch up with most of those riders ahead of him. May on the move. Wood on the move as well. Looks as if Shannon, there he is, easy to spot with that nice little beacon above his head. It should be Doyle next, Noel Doyle, but no sign of him. So Tom Kerr should be underway. He is indeed. There he is. As should Hindley. Just moving back through the field. Campbell, then Collier. Just crossing the start-finish line now. Walker. He goes under the start banner. Chris Reed next down here. There he goes. Just getting up to speed now. And there is the start banner just coming into view for him. It should be Ketley just about to go now. Ketley's, of course, small gap between those two riders, 10 seconds. Ketley's going to be right on the wheel of Reed in no time at all. Reed's a strong rider, but Ketley's in the category above. So he's going to sit behind him. But Taff is doing exactly the same thing. And there he is, just sitting with Ketley straight away. And then we have Empson. He will have a little bit more of a task to catch up with the riders ahead of him, 15-second gap. Barry Pedley now moving. Wales just moving off. Next will be Kalik. Is he going to go? Let's have a look and see if he starts. I'm sure he will. 1:48.45. He should be going about now. But I've missed a couple of riders perhaps. No sign of Mayhew Smith, who should be on the road. Oh, maybe there goes that's Lancier just ahead of him. Now that's an incentive for him. So Kalik underway. I expect good things from him. Been hiding in the shadows recently. And now we get into the final few riders. Charles just crossing the start line. Jury will be underway any second, but I think it's not her next. Let's have a look. Davis should be moving. There is Davis. There goes Jury up out of the saddle. Great sprint to start with. And we've got Scott Rowland, if he is riding, of course. There he is. Next will be Matt Tom. Looking a bit lonely there at the start. We'll watch him start. He should be away. No, not quite yet. Another 15 seconds or so. Lancier is suddenly up to 8.6 watts per kilo. Because he sees Kalik ahead of him. And Charles is going to catch sight of Lancia, who won the race on, what day are we now? Monday, Thursday. Not just for BCC, but the whole category. Will be in Cat A before he knows it, or is probably there now, actually. There goes Tom. And we'll have a look at the final rider, Stoneham, frustratingly sitting there on the start line all this time. And of course, it's a little bit difficult to keep warm. Have to make certain that you don't move forward by accidentally pedalling when he should be off. He should have gone by now, I think, according to my calculations. 1:46.40 was his start time, and we're at 1:46.20. There he goes. That was hope he hasn't just nobbled himself there. Right, let's have a look up at the front end. Riders forming groups all over the place. There's Darren Wood along next to, who is it, Albert, I think, Albert May. And what we're looking for really is well-matched groups. There's Tamsin, and who's that in front of her? It might be Oliver White and Tamsin next to each other, although it shows a 4-second gap. Now, up the front end, Telford looks to be pulling away, has caught up with Jones, overtook Slipper as well, and Jones and Slipper look to be riding together. So Telford is making a good run of it at this stage. 7 kilometres in, 14 minutes 32 seconds. The record on this course for the men, the KOM, is 22 minutes 28 seconds. I don't think he'll make that. And the QOM for the women, 23 minutes 31 seconds. And to give you some idea, let's just move back through the middle of the field, get some of the faster riders. Chris Reed, he is now holding, let's just let it settle for a moment, 270 watts, something around there. The male KOM holder averaged 323 watts for this course in 22 minutes 28 seconds. And the women's QOM holder averaged 220 watts, which is something I think that Katie is certainly capable of. I don't think we'll see any of the male competitors today beating that time, not even Angus. Now, here's the task. I'm not quite sure, maybe I've got it wrong on the information I have, why he left late, but he is 1 minute, he may not have left late, I'll just double check. Well, he left late, but anyway, either way, he's 1 minute 2 seconds behind Matt Tom, so that's what we've got to look at. Is he going to catch up with Tom? Well, theoretically, they'll both arrive at the finish line together. What's more relevant is what is the gap between Stoneham and the riders ahead of him. So I can just see Rob Jones behind on the rider list, the screen on the right hand side, but 11 minutes 14 seconds, 11:13, 11:12. So Angus gaining rapidly with the front of the field. Let's have a look midfield, see what's going on. We have 3 riders here together. Looks like Ketley, Taff and Reed. Out of these 3, difficult one to call really. If I had to put my money down somewhere at the moment, I'd go for Taff, with probably Ketley second and Reed third, although Reed has got and can hold a good consistent power when he needs to and wants to. Further up in the field, Collier sitting with Alex Walker. And just ahead of them, can I see on screen? Looks like it. I just saw the yellow beacon of Shannon disappear around the corner. There he is. In fact, 4 riders here together. Hindley, Kerr, Campbell and Shannon. This is an interesting mix out of that lot. Aha. Who would I pick at the moment? I think I would certainly go for Campbell. But it could all change, of course. Shannon is also a strong rider. I would put Kerr, actually I was going to say Kerr at the back, but quite possibly Hindley. We'll have to see what happens there. And further up in the field, Here is Wood, and just behind him, that is May sitting on his wheel at 5.9 kilometres in. And as we move through the field now, 3 more riders: Sampson, Booth, Stoneham, in fact 4 riders, although Zwift doesn't list them as such. 5 riders in fact: Sampson, Stoneham, Littlewood, White, looks like. Booth towards the rear of this group. There's Stoneham, 8.2 watts per kilo. This, as you can see, is the hillier part. There's White, Littlewood at 200 watts, 163 beats per minute on the heart. Catching up now with Hokema and Wilkinson, who are, is it Hokema and Wilkinson? That's Hokema. It's Wilkinson and Nixon, I think. Yes, it is. It's Wilkinson and Nixon. So gaining ground there as well. Pete Barlow at 7.7 kilometres. Telford still in the lead. Lord in fact is riding exceptionally well. She has passed Jones and Slipper. Now, will she gain on Telford? That really is the question. I hope she can. Telford may have gone off a little bit too quickly, too soon. But 16 minutes, 58, 17 minutes coming up for now. Not gaining at the moment on Telford. And there is Slipper and Jones still staying together. I suspect Slipper might be a little bit quicker than Jones, I'm not sure, but very similar. But further back, Pete Barlow, 25 seconds away from Jones and Slipper at 8 kilometres into this race. Not quite halfway yet, but gaining ground. And there's Nixon, currently 2 minutes 19 seconds behind Barlow. And we'll come back to that. Looks as if Wilkinson is still sitting with Nixon. That's Hokema trying to catch up, pushing out similar power, so I don't think he's quite going to do it at that speed. But here we have Littlewood, and coming up rapidly behind him, Sampson, White and Stoneham. In fact, I say coming up rapidly behind him, or has he in fact pulled away from them? He did start after them, so he has caught them. And I suspect it is in fact the other way around. So it's all credit to Littlewood. He's moved through the field now and is attempting to create... Oh, there's some pigs running across the circuit there. And he's attempting to create a gap and is doing just that actually. Now 8 seconds away, up out of the saddle, up this climb, taking advantage of that. So we'll come back to him. These are the chasing riders: Stoneham, White and Sampson. And Tamsin looks as if she's just lost touch with those 3 riders. Coming up behind her we have Wood and May. That's May on screen now with Wood just ahead of him. And then the other group, Kerr, Campbell, Shannon, Hindley. 4 riders. Can't see anyone behind. That looks like... Who is that moving into the front? Looks like Wood. No. Sorry, wrong group. Hindley, in fact. So, I don't think these riders are of equal strength, so it will be interesting to see how they play the remainder of this race. There is no time to relax in a race of this nature. By all means, take advantage of the draft, but if you hang around for too long, just to get comfortable, or a little bit more comfortable, must remember there are other riders going for it behind you. And those riders that fancy their chances and don't have someone to ride with will be going as fast as they possibly can. So this is an interesting tactic. It may work. It's only not yet halfway through for these riders. But moving back through the field now, behind them we have Walker. In fact, that is Walker on screen in the black. Can see the group with Shannon and his yellow beacon just ahead. And that's Collier sitting on his wheel. And behind them still we have the group of Taff. In fact, there's Shannon disappearing on the upper right hand corner of the screen. That's a useful measure. There's Taff, Reed, Ketley. Now the other rider I want to see is Empson. Is he gaining on Ketley and co? So MK is now, let's have a look, 12-second gap. And behind Charles, Charles, Davis and Lancia. That's going to be a quick group as well. Kalik is coming up along with Wales. The group grows. Kalik, I would certainly expect him to stay with Lancia. They've raced together on many occasions. Bracky with, who is he with? Jury by the looks of it. Yes, Jury and Bracky together. I don't think those two will stay together for long. But right behind them is Rowland. And this is the rider we're interested in. Stoneham charging up through the field. And how far is he off the front? If I can get there. No, it won't let me. So we'll just have to guess that at the moment. But he is 7.8k in 12 minutes. He is, by the looks of it, has gone past. And he's gone flying past Tom. Some 15 seconds now ahead on that Tom on screen now. So, in fact, holding 6.3 watts per kilo as opposed to Tom's 4.7. That's why he's 50 seconds ahead. And now behind Tom, last rider in the field at the moment, Quebrada. That doesn't mean he's last, but he can see Tom ahead of him. So it looks as if Stoneham is moving fast, very fast. He will have worked out what he can hold for 25 minutes, roughly halfway through. Not quite yet, but coming towards that. So this is an FTP type performance for Stoneham. He is gaining on Jury as well. But can he work his way through the field? So he's 146 behind Empson. So we'll take that as a mark and come back to that. Right. Let's see now. So Ketley, see if this gap is closing. Well, I was about to say Empson, last time we looked, was 12 seconds behind Ketley, Reed and Taff. He's now 1 second behind, so he's made the effort. Interesting to see what his tactic is now. He may just sit on the back for a couple of minutes just to sort of relax. Now he's going to barge his way through, elbows out, and away he goes. He's not hanging around, so he must be feeling strong. Ketley will certainly try and jump on his wheel, take advantage of that, and he has done just that. In fact, all three of them have. Empson, I suspect, will try and push it a bit just to test these guys. He's made his mark. They know he's there. And we'll come back to that battle in due course. Shannon now still with Campbell, Hindley and May. I did sound a bit surprised there, but May riding exceptionally well. Good luck to him in this. But he is a rider that likes to have everything tuned and just right, so he's probably calculated exactly what he needs to do. Kerr hanging on nicely in there as well. Let's have a look at his heartbeat if he's got it on. 189. He's a little bit younger than some of the other riders around him, but 189 is still up there, whichever way you look at it. Now, I'm looking out for Nixon now, just to get some idea of where he is. So let's just have a quick look up at the front. So Telford still out front. Lord 121 behind him. So at the current pace and the way in which it's changing, Telford's going to maintain this gap. This is the sprint section of the course, but I don't think anyone's particularly worried about that. So Pete Barlow through the market, Jones and Slipper still together. And there is Nixon. That's who I was looking for. So Nixon along with Gavin Wilkinson. And they were 2 minutes 19 behind Barlow. They're now 1 minute 24. So these two riders rapidly gaining on the front. 3:03 behind Telford. Hokema now along with Littlewood, and ahead of them they could see just in the distance now Nixon and Wilkinson. There they are, just at the top of the screen in the middle. And it looks as if Stoneham, where are we? Lost him, there he is. Stoneham Senior, of course. 12.8k in. Plenty of groups forming here. This one I'm interested in. I think it could be quite competitive. These riders now catching up with Stoneham by the looks of it, or is it Tamsin? It is Tamsin, yes. If she can just jump on the back for a few seconds even. Nope, not managed it. So those four riders, Shannon, Campbell, Hindley and Kerr, riding well together. In fact, there's another one that's just appeared. And here we have one of the other larger groups. Empson, Collier. Empson's decided to stay with them. Empson, Collier, Ketley, Walker, Taff, Reed. Coming up quickly behind though is Lancier with Kalik on his tail, and Davis, Wales, Charles. Let's have a look from Charles's perspective as he is the last rider in this line. So that's another group just forming. Will Charles and co move through the field? I think they're doing just that. That's exactly what's happening. So Kalik gets overtaken. Is he going to try and sit on the back? Oh no, I think I might have got that wrong. Kalik still, I think they're just moving around in this bunch, that's all. And Zwift's not reporting the time gaps too accurately. Now, here we go, our jury. The jury group, a little bit larger than the last time I looked, includes Bracky, Rowland, who else? Stoneham's just gone through, or is going through. Is he going to have a rest just for a moment? I don't think so. He's moved up towards the front. 4.4 watts per kilo, so he was averaging over 6 watts per kilo earlier on, but that of course is him catching up with his group. Now if they catch up as a group with the front, that's good news. But each of those riders now has to be careful that they're not in some way inhibiting the other. So Matt Tom now 1 minute 22 behind Stoneham. That gap is increasing all the time. And Quebrada a further 53 seconds behind. In fact, another group, in fact, this group here with Kalik, Lancier, Wales, Davis, they are moving quickly at 44 kilometres per hour, 45. The average for this for the KOM, 48.8 kilometres for the men and 46.6 kilometres per hour for the women. So they're not far off that sort of winning pace. They won't hold this, I think. Don't forget, this is on the flat. There are some little hills in this. But just to indicate this group is moving quickly, catching up with the Shannon group in front. In fact, catching up now with Ketley, Taft, Walker, which is the group ahead of them. Here they are. And then ahead of them is the Shannon, May, Hindley and Campbell. So if we look back, we might just see there's the first group on screen. Sorry, the second group. There's the three groups in a line. So that's a great incentive for all those riders. They'll know they're coming. So it's coming together nicely at 15.7k. So this is getting interesting. So the gap between Telford, let's have a look, was 121 to Barlow. It's now 118, so not really changed that much. Lord, 135 behind Telford. Sort of maintained her gap away from Jones and Slipper. But the fast riders, looks as if they're coming together now. About 2 kilometres left. Only 2. Telford at 16.9 will stay towards the front of this race just so we can keep an eye on what's going on. Uphill bit, this is going to have an impact. It's undulating rather than one long steady climb, but these are hard to take at race pace. 17 kilometres, 1,500 metres or so to go. Looks as if Telford at the moment is going to win. But I'm just looking back to see who's moving really quickly through the field. I can't see anyone catching Telford at this stage. It's possible, but I don't think likely. So we'll watch Telford. There's the blossom trees out. 17.2k, 33 minutes. There's Shannon off to the left, his beacon popping up over the side of that hill. The gap between Barlow and Telford down to 110, so that's a gap. Barlow closing that gap slightly. So the next group, this group, 2 minutes 10 away from Telford. If they had been working together nicely, they could have closed that gap, but I think it's too late now. .5 kilometres, 1 kilometre to go. The last little bit is uphill. Oh, there is an uphill bit just close to the end. This could well be it. I can't see the profile on my screen. Telford knows what's happening behind him. Up out of the saddle. Good aerial shot. No other riders immediately visible. The gap to Barlow in second place is at 113. Then Lord at 133 back. White is now caught up. Is about to catch up with Lord. And Reed, Davis, Collier all gaining fast. In fact, two groups just come together. In fact, look at this bunch of riders here. 14 or so riders in a row. It's getting quite exciting. They are moving. Shannon is moving. Wilkinson has just been consumed by this group. They know how far it is to go. So there's Telford, 18.1 kilometres. Barlow, 108 back. Reed and this large group that includes White, Charles, Shannon, Empson at the moment, Ketley, Davis, Campbell, Wilkinson, Walker, Taft, all together. Hard to tell where the separation is. And here comes Telford up to the finish line. At least I think this is the finish line. He is going to cross the line first. Let's have a look. There he is. He crosses the line in about 36 minutes, 5 seconds. Next up, though, looks as if Lancier is going for it. No, he is going for it, but that was Kalik being overtaken by Lancier, Davis. In fact, Kalik looks as if he's going backwards almost. Ketley's up front. This is becoming very interesting. So Ketley, Davis moves into the front now. Let's have a look. Riders changing back and forth. There's Campbell putting in a big push. 4 riders back. Someone stopped. There's the finishing line coming into view. Looks like it's going to be Campbell at the moment. Lancia is going to move into ahead of Campbell. Is it Campbell? Looks like no. Lancia, Campbell, Reid, Charles. There's Collier. Let's get who's next coming up to the finish line. These riders have all finished. Right, Wilkinson, 18.7 kilometres, all winding down. Let's get back to the race. Barlow's finished. Right. In fact, there is Stoneham, just crossing the line, 25.50, just behind Sampson, Kerr, and Lord now is about to cross the finish line. And behind her we have May coming up rapidly with, looks as if someone stopped on the left there. That is Wood, tried to chase down May. There's May just about to cross the finish line. Wood's not going to get him now. It's Brackey and Rowland, and I'm assuming Jury's in there. She is. Who's going to make the kick? It looks to be Brackey, Jury, Rowland, and then next on the screen will be Booth, followed by Pedley just coming down the hill. So this all happened very quickly. So Angus didn't catch up with the front, but the main bunch did. I'm not with Telford, but got right up to the front. And next up now we have Jones, who's maintained his lead over Slipper. It's a good race from him. I'll just watch him cross the line. Straight off the power. He's winding down. Good racing from him. There is Slipper, 18.2 kilometres finish line. I wonder who that is, stopped just there. Next is Matt Tom, ridden well by the looks of it, but outclassed by Stoneham again. Oh, that might have been me sitting there on the side of the road, actually. Just worked it out. That was me. Here is Tom crossing the line, and then the last rider on the course this evening will be Quebrada, still a further 1 minute 35 seconds back. So we will, or I will end the transmission live stream now. So well done everyone for racing tonight. Looked like quite a good race to me. I think I've captured most of you crossing the finish line, and it'll be interesting to see now what the results are after the commissaires have added it all up. So if you're vying for a trophy or one of the cups, good luck to you. Thanks for watching. Not sure when the next race is, but as soon as I hear, I'll be there.